Well, some new information now about Apple's fight against the feds. We're awaiting a House Judiciary Committee on meeting on Apple and national security, and this is a day after a New York judge ruled in Apple's favor in a routine drug case in Brooklyn. The judge decided that the Justice Department can't force Apple to give the FBI access to a locked iPhone data, at least a locked iPhone in that particular case. While Apple's CEO insists to shareholders she's standing by customers against the court order to unlock the phone belonging to San Bernardino shooter Syed Farook, you're seeing on your screen now. Apple filed to dismiss that order. In the meantime, Republican presidential candidates sounded off in the most recent debate.
Apple doesn't want to do it because they think it hurts their brand. Well, let me tell you, their brand is not superior to the national security of the United States of America.
The order is not put a back door in everyone's cell phone. If that was the order, that order would be problematic.
If they don't comply with that, you're encouraging chaos in our system.
You lock the door and you say you're not coming out till you reach an agreement.
Well, that's John Kasich's idea for a solution, and we'll see what's going to happen. More on this now with cybersecurity analyst Morgan Wright. He's a senior fellow at the Center for Digital Government. Just for some context for that quote, Morgan, that's what John Kasich was saying. Just lock both parties in the room until they figure it out. And, I'm just curious, just taking a step back, we have a couple different ways to talk about this story today.
Right.
But in the weeks that have passed since the first time that we spoke, I asked you previously, is Apple really the only one that can provide the solution? Is it really about the government and Apple only, or can others somehow be involved and help with this? And you said at that point that really it is about Apple, perhaps. What do you think now?
Right.
Is it still about these two parties, the government and Apple, and that's it?
Yeah, and funny you should mention that, Jen. I'm down here at the world's largest security conference right now, and about 3 hours from now, Loretta Lynch will be speaking, so it'll be interesting to see if she addresses this issue at all. But to that point, this is Apple technology, it's Apple intellectual property, it's Apple code, it's Apple software, it's Apple hardware. I think at this point, if the FBI could have found a way around this, they would have done it, because just like when you do a wiretap, you have to exhaust all other investigative means before you go ask for the most intrusive thing. And in this case, I think they've exhausted everything they can, and believe me, if the FBI could do it, they wouldn't be asking Apple to do it. They would do it and not let everybody know they have this capability. So at this point, I think the ball definitely is in Apple's court.
I'm curious what your colleagues at the security conference think. Morgan, it sounds like you're in the place that we should be asking this question. I mean, what's the consensus from, security experts about where we should be on this?
Well, I'm outnumbered because I'm on the side of, the FBI, and not so much the FBI itself as an agency, but simply I think we need access to this information. It is a very healthy debate because right now there's a lot of debate about encryption, about ethics, about what should be built in this new Internet of Things that is coming out. I mean, we don't even have any ethical guidelines about what should be connected. So right now, the sentiment is everybody's backing Apple, but that's kind of to be expected considering the audiences here. I think if you step back and you look at the broader implications, it'll be very interesting. Like I said, I'm going to try and get in as early as I can, be on the front row to hear the Attorney General speak to see if she addresses this. But right now, definitely Apple, if you were to take a poll. It's Super Tuesday down here because a little bit later, too, General Keith Alexander from the NSA will also be speaking. So we're going to see a lot of feedback or blowback depending on which side of the ball you're on.
That'll be interesting to hear about the results of all of this. Morgan,
right.
The FBI director said that the code that the judge has directed Apple to write works only on this one phone.
Right.
Is that true?
Yeah, I just got through also doing an interview, and it was with a professor from the University of Southern California who teaches this stuff, builds this stuff. And when I asked him the same question, he said, it's only 5 lines of code, and it would only work on this phone. So the notion that it's a backdoor is not correct. That's a red herring people are throwing up to kind of confuse the issue. Whether you believe or not it sets a precedent is not the issue, just narrowly. The issue is, would this software work on any other phone? And the answer is no. And even the director of the FBI, James Comey, said, we don't even want to see it. We'll give you the phone. We'll connect to it electronically. And once we get our data, we're done. You keep the software. We never want to see it. So I'm not sure what the issue is. Again, if it was turned around and it was Apple employees that had been killed and injured or another tech company's employees, would we be having the same discussion? That's yet to be seen.
It's interesting. I was just going to ask you that as a final question, because that's something you keep going back to, that the communities that are being impacted most by terrorist attacks or terrorist threats may give us an idea of where different priorities lie, whether you're the government or private companies. And recently, it seems that some technology CEOs are actually being pulled more into the conversation because they look like they're being targeted by the bad guys.
Mark Zuckerberg, he's got a security contingent